We clapped for this. Remember, it was me, mostly. I was the loudest. My name is Arthur Finch, and I am the reason there are no more birds. Well, not just me, but I was the one on the town hall stage, pumping my fists, yelling progress. And you all cheered. You clapped until your hands were red. We were so proud of ourselves. It started like all terrible ideas do with a complaint. Mrs. Higgins from Elm Street wrote a letter to the editor. Bird droppings on her prize-winning roses. A tragedy of Shakespearean proportions, she called it. Then came the noise complaints. The chirping, she said. It starts before dawn. Who needs an alarm clock when you have a chorus of feathered nuisances screaming at your window? Suddenly everyone was an expert on avian acoustics. Too loud, too shrill, too natural. The solution came from a tech startup, of course. Chirp. They promised a future free from the mess and unpredictability of biological birds. Instead, we would get sleek, beautiful drones. They would sing pre-approved melodies at socially acceptable volumes. Their droppings. Well, they would not have any. They were solar-powered and self-cleaning. Best of all, they came with a remote control. Imagine you could mute a bird. You could change its song to a top 40 hit. You could make it hover perfectly still for a photo. It was the future, we were told. And we bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. The town council meeting was a spectacle. The Chirpify salesman, a man named Silas with teeth so white they could blind you, presented his PowerPoint. Slides of immaculate cars without a single bird dropping. Graphs showing the projected increase in property values. A video simulation of a drone singing a perfect rendition of a popular song while a happy family picnicked below. It was beautiful. It was clean. It was sterile. I was the head of the Better Aviary Bureau, a citizen group one founded myself. I got up on that stage and I gave the speech of my life. I spoke of hygiene, of control, of a world tailored to our exact specifications. Why should we be beholden to the whims of nature, I asked, when we can create a better nature ourselves? The applause was deafening. The vote was unanimous. Operation Featherless Freedom was a go. The day they released the drones was a town holiday. We all gathered in the square. The sky was eerily silent for the first time in centuries. Then with a low worry sound they ascended. Hundreds of them. Chrome and white plastic glinting in the sun. They flew in perfect formation, their synthesized songs echoing through the streets. It was not chirping. It was more like a dial tone with a melody. A clean sound. An orderly sound. We clapped. We took pictures. We posted them online with hashtags like Future is Now and Goodbye Birds. For the first week it was bliss. Mrs. Higgins' roses were pristine. The cars gleamed. Silence reigned until precisely 7 a.m. when the drones began their gentle, pre-programmed morning serenade. You could sleep with your windows open. It was perfect. A little too perfect. Then the glitches started. A drone over by the bakery got stuck on a single high-pitched note for 3 days straight. It sounded like a smoke alarm with a god complex. Then a whole squadron of them had a software update go wrong and started singing advertising jingles for a brand of cat food we do not even have here. 24 hours a day. Meow mix on repeat. The town began to get a little edgy. But the real problem, the one Silas and his shiny teeth forgot to mention, was the bugs. Turns out, real birds ate them a lot of tem. Without our feathered friends, the insect population exploded. First, it was just mosquitoes. Annoying, but manageable. Then came the spiders. Suddenly webs were everywhere. Big ones. Hanging from streetlights, draped across doorways. You could not walk to the store without getting a face full of silk. Then came the caterpillars, rebirths of Fim. They moved across the streets, and vast undulating carpets. The sound they made crawling over everything was a wet crunching that haunted your dreams. They devoured every green thing in sight. The town park looked like a barren wasteland. Mrs. Higgins' prize-winning roses were stripped down to thorny skeletons. She was not happy. We called Chirpify. Silas answered. He sounded like he was on a beach somewhere. He said the drones were not programmed for insect control. That was an aftermarket upgrade, he said. For a nominal fee, they could push a new software patch, the Pest Purge Protocol. It would equip the drones with tiny lasers to zap the bugs. What could possibly go wrong? So we paid. Again. The next day, the drones descended, armed with their new lasers. The air filled with the smell of burnt insect and the ZZZT sound of 1,000 tiny bug zappers. It worked. For about an hour. Then the drones started to get confused. Their targeting systems were not exactly top tier. They started zapping things that were not bugs. Garden gnomes. Mailboxes. The occasional squirrel that had somehow survived the caterpillar apocalypse. The mayor's toupee was vaporized right off his head during a press conference. Little puffs of smoke were rising from lawns all over town as the drones mistook sprinkler heads for rogue beetles. Things escalated when a drone tried to laser a wasp and missed hitting the gas tank of a parked car. The ensuing explosion took out 3 other cars and the front window of the library. We were living in a low-budget science fiction nightmare. The synthesized bird songs were now punctuated by laser blasts and explosions. The sterile utopia I had promised was a chaotic mess of burning plastic spiders and angry citizens. The town council held an emergency meeting. This time, nobody was clapping for me. I stood at the podium, trying to explain that this was just a temporary setback. That progress is sometimes messy. That is when a drone crashed through the window and tried to laser the microphone, mistaking it for a large silver cockroach. The feedback screech was the only thing louder than the yelling. We tried to shut them down. But Silas was no longer answering his phone. We had signed a 75-year contract. The fine print was a masterpiece of legal deception. We owned the drones, but Chirpify owned the software. We could not turn them off. We could not reprogram them. They were our problem now. Forever. So here we are, living in our self-made paradise. The caterpillars are gone, but so is every plant. The drones now spend their days chasing dust bunnies down the street with their lasers, their happy songs providing a deeply ironic soundtrack to the destruction. They have started to malfunction in new and creative ways. Some just hover in place and scream. Others have formed gangs and fight over prime charging spots on rooftops. I see them sometimes from my window. A chrome drone perched on a dead tree branch, singing a pop song to an empty street. And I remember the real birds. The messy, loud, unpredictable birds. I remember the sparrows that would steal crumbs from your plate at the outdoor cafe. The grumpy crow that used to sit on the telephone wire and judge everyone. The morning chorus that I used to curse. We did not know what we had. We traded something real and alive for something clean and controlled, and in the process, we lost everything. We clapped for this. I clapped the loudest, and now all I hear is the sound of our perfect manufactured future burning down around us. One laser blast at a time. Remember that next time someone promises you a simple solution. So that is my story. Maybe you have a similar one. A story about a time progress went a little too far. Share it in the comments below. Let us all learn from our glorious mistakes. And if you enjoyed this cautionary tale from the future, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories about how we ruin everything. Thanks for watching.